The following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Listener or viewer discretion is advised. This podcast episode is for educational purposes. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast does not reflect the views of our employers. Where applicable, any allegations are alleged until proven in a court of law.
Thank you so much for watching this upcoming episode. Please don't forget to like, follow, and share. Hey, Ousters.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining.
We are full swing into season 3, but like everything, it can't last forever. So the season 3 finale will be coming soon. But do not fear. We've got another project that we're working on, which we'll be really excited to talk to you about soon. And season 4 is already under planning.
Okay. So, not only that, but we still are going to be doing the lives, and that we're going to be releasing those as episodes. So we won't be completely on a complete hiatus. We'll still be doing the lives, right?
Yes.
So that will definitely give us content that everybody can see.
Yeah. So definitely we're doing stuff different because we'll be on a weekly live. We think it'll still be Sunday, but we'll still be pulling the audio from that and pushing it out on Spotify, on all the audio platforms. And we haven't determined what's going to be different from season 4 just yet. But as you know, with us, every season we have something different for Oust now. So thank you again for sticking with us as we are in season 3. And today, who's the asshole?
From what I read, from what I think, I don't think it's them. I don't think it's them. I do not think they are the asshole.
You don't think the parents are the assholes?
I feel. No, I think the parents are the assholes.
Okay.
I don't think the individual is the asshole. I feel like the parents could have definitely handled that way differently.
Exactly. So hopefully that gave you some insight as to what we talk about here. Parents being the assholes, and for full disclosure, what's it look like when parents parentify their children? Now, I do believe that in some cases it's kind of unavoidable because, hey, and we'll give you the context. Like if you are a single mom, maybe, money's tight. Maybe you can't spring for daycare, but you got that older sibling. This story here is a completely different scenario, and I think that you'll be a little bit shocked when you hear the details. Okay.
So here we go. So I'll start this by saying my brother and I are 10 years apart. He is 19 and I am 29. When I was little, I wanted a sibling and told my parents. My mom was like, only if you help out with him. I, being 9 at the time, didn't realize what that all entailed and said yes. So fast forward, brother is born, and I'm continuously treated like a third parent. When my brother was in high school, sophomore year, he was super angsty and lashed out a lot. Nasty or angry. Use some terminology that, never mind. I'm not judging. I'm sorry. Anyway, genuinely, it felt like our relationship was only good if I walked on eggshells. So fast forward, I get married, and during that same timeline leading up to the wedding, my mom leaves. during brother's senior year of high school. Sort of out of the blue in terms of she left without conversation, but the marriage was not great anyhow. Okay. Dad takes full responsibility for brother while mom moves. Okay, now I'm getting it. The marriage between mom and her dad. Now I'm getting it. I was a little bit confused because she was saying wedding, and I'm like, wait, what? Wedding, marriage, brother graduated, and dad decided he wants to go on a find himself road trip. And he basically tells me that I need to take my brother in and tells brother I would. Now, brother who nearly failed out of high school decides he was going to go to community college and then to a university, so will need support with that. Nobody discussed it with me or my husband, which should have really been taken into consideration. I'm reluctant because of how the relationship was slightly toxic at the times, and also it was sprung on me out of the blue. Also because since distancing myself from family, I realized I felt parentified, and I don't want kids or to be a third parent. I want to be a sister. Understandable. I also felt like both parents were just saying, we're done, here you go. Okay. I got to sit for a minute, right? Just to be clear, y'all have to excuse the ad-libs. Look.
Raise it down. What shit is this?
My goodness, let me see. I do feel she is right. Both parents was like, okay, I'm done. Have at it. I feel like when they have, sometimes when adults, yeah, pretty much. When adults have issues in their relationship, it really does trickle down to the children. And sometimes that's not even just in marriages. Sometimes that's clear across the board. Friendships, marriages, siblings. I feel like sometimes it can trickle down and cause a separation, a division. It can cause conflict with the children
Agreed.
involved.
We've experienced that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why it kind of threw me, because as I was talking about it, it was so relatable because I was like, oh yeah, I felt that in my chest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I'm just using the word interesting,
Okay.
but I think it's weird. I think it's weird that they, as a couple, the parents, would say to a 9-year-old, okay, sure, we'll give you a sibling. You have to help us with. Now, as a parent, you're 9 years into this game here. 9 years into this game, and you don't know that you're kind of tapping out when it comes to parent. And your best solution is to say, oh, but you're going to help as a 9-year-old because your 9-year-old don't know shit. They don't know a damn thing about what parenting looks like, but then to force this child to be basically a third parent, like she said she felt, is really fucked up.
Well, it is, but I'm just gonna, what is it? Devil's advocate for a minute, right? Maybe when that comment was made, maybe it really was said as a playful, funny 9-year-old type of thing. I've said things like that before. Well, you play on me with them. You know what I'm saying?
But did you make
Hey,
it so
baby.
that the other kids was being a parent? No. These people
No, but I
literally.
did. No, I absolutely didn't. But I did, as a single parent, did kind of rely on them, or even sometimes the older ones at a point. Kind of what you said
But they were older.
earlier, right?
Yeah. Not 9.
Hey. Yeah, it's
really understand what that means. And as a parent, you know what it means. And I think it's really unfair to say, okay, well, you're going to help me with it. It's different when you have older kids that are like teenagers. That's different from 9. And to put that weight on them and on her, to put that weight on her at 9, all the way up until 20 years later, now I'm going to go find myself.
It's a her.
I think it's a her.
We don't know that it's her.
All right. But it's a little bit different.
Be
9
her.
versus 16, 17. I understand that sometimes as single parents, or, when you're having to parent alone, you have to make different types of choices. They didn't have no excuse. They had 2. This is a 2-parent household. And I'm not saying that parenting is easier as a
2-parent households ain't 2-parent households.
Fair.
I know I lived it.
That's true.
Right. I had a husband. I had a spouse at one time. I still felt like.
Well, that's fair. But then it's like this couple, what they did was they made their child become the parent to their other child, which is a totally different scenario. Even in a 2-parent household, you're right. Sometimes 2-parent households, you might have one who's more of a primary, and even if they're in the household, they're not really present, because that's the thing. But it sounds like both of them had tapped out by the time they had this second child. They were tapping out like, here, tagging this 9-year-old as in. All right, kid, you're in. But they're 9.
Your turn. I'm sorry, it's not funny.
I don't at all. Like, I think there's something seriously wrong. And the mom was tapping out if somewhere along the line she's like, I'm done, and just kind of bounces. And then leaves her, okay, so you're leaving your son with your father, reasonably so. He's a man. He should be able to fine-tune him into being a man, but clearly not, because he's trying to, what was it he's trying to take?
He's trying to drop his ass off too.
See what he's trying to do. It was it is a sister. She said, I want to be a sister. I don't want kids or to be a third parent.
She did say that's how we know it was a girl. You're right.
Her idea of parenthood, because she's like, this shit's for the fucking piss.
I don't even want to have no damn kids.
I had to look it up. The father wants to go on a find himself road trip. You can find each other and learn more about each other outside of your typical normal routine. Maybe that'd be the best thing you do for him.
Because he definitely is having a hard time with.
Right. I mean,
clearly.
But think about, what occurred to me is like, so he's born into this situation. You don't think he felt something was off this whole time? And maybe that's why he had so much angst and was lashing out?
Yeah.
You don't think you know?
Yeah.
Because even though kids may not be able to put a finger on it, they know something's off. So you got the parents who are like, I don't even want to have another kid. Then you got this daughter saying, damn, I'm not trying to be a parent for you. So this child is living it. So it's not a surprise to me that this child is lashing out. Kids lash out all the time. So I'm like, had they addressed it better as a family, then maybe I wouldn't be here. But when this child was 9, you knew you were done. You should have been done. And you should have said as much and like, look, you just have to tough this out as an only child. That would have been better for everybody involved. In my opinion.
But he's here now, and that's kind of a fucked up thing to say.
Yeah, but then that's the parents' job, not hers.
Well, we shouldn't. If somebody's like, say, hey, we should never had you. Problem solved.
Well, no lie, that's probably how they've been living think that's what this kid's been feeling. Like,
oh, you're probably right. Oh, that's so true.
they feeling. He may not know what it is. He might know now if he read this post. Mean Tanya, put her away.
Sir, you were a real asshole in high school. To be funny, like legit. Most kids are.
Yes, my 10-year-old can.
You right. They start off real like bullies, right? Yeah. They really
I love him. He
Look at
does.
that damn bottle.
It's not like you don't love your
Change
kids.
my diaper.
They're needy little beings, which
They're needy.
which you sign up for. But then at some point, somewhere in the preteen range, they start to do shit.
Feel themselves?
They start feeling themselves and start pushing those boundaries, which is all normal. Kids are going to push the boundaries.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of how you handle it. And as parents, you don't always make the best choices or handle it the right way. But that's part of parenting, learning as you go to a degree. But in this scenario, I'd like to think that they knew they didn't want to go down the rodeo again because they're already trying to be like, well, as long as you help. Come on. It's really like that. Come on.
Because I think because I have jokes like that before.
But you were joking. They're serious things.
Clearly.
They were serious about it. And she's 9. She don't know what that is. For the time.
Yeah.
When they made the agreement. But they knew. So they're being irresponsible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I will say this. We have the older two, but there is a 10-year gap. More than a 10-year gap. So he has said, well, he'd like to. And I'm like, no. We'd have to adopt. But someone close to your age.
Older. I think as a parent that had multiple kids, right? I think I have needed help out of necessity. Almost kind of what you said earlier. Like, listen, I gotta work. This situation may have really been a situation, exactly what you said earlier. They was already having their problems. They decided to have this other kid. And maybe they thought, and I'm speculating. It's not like it has not been heard of that people will have children thinking that it's going to help the relationship.
Okay, fair.
Right. So it could have been a point. It could have been a point in their relationship where maybe they were already having issues, right? And they was like, you know what? She's right. Maybe we should have another kid. And she's saying she's willing to be big sister. And then they had this kid, right? Thinking that it was going to help their relationship. But maybe it did not. And that's where the animosity may be coming in from. Listen, I'm not judging the parents, and I'm definitely not saying anything about the kid.
I'm judging them hardcore. Sorry, God.
But when you sit back and look at it, the outside looking in, it's a possibility maybe they was already having problems. And then it was like, oh, you know what? Maybe another kid will fix it. Maybe having another kid will help the relationship. So maybe she's right. Maybe we should. Maybe we should have a kid. Maybe because it's not unheard of. We've heard it before.
Yeah.
We've heard of people having kids thinking it would strengthen the relationship or help with the relationship, and usually it does not.
Kids add stress to relationships. Having kids.
That's what I was going to say. Because I'm going to say, if you're going to have a kid thinking it's going to keep a relationship together, hey, we're already on the wrong track.
Good
We're
luck
already
with that.
failing.
It'll highlight all of those problems. It'll be like
a lot of shit.
It'll smack you in the face.
Sorry.
Like, girl, you got some issues.
Like, oh, damn, I got a problem with that shit. And that's really not how it worked out. And that might have been why she always felt like the third parent, because both of them was like, yeah, I don't like you any more than I did yesterday. And now we got this kid. So let's just, hey, you step in on both sides, right? I'm not trying to give them an out. I'm just saying that I could understand how it could happen.
The only thing I can consider is that maybe they were younger parents. And I think younger parents are more, they move different from someone who is an older parent, because as you get older and you mature, you realize that you have a better understanding of what parenting is. But I think it's hard to grasp that as a younger parent. I've seen younger parents do some really dumb shit. And even as they got older, they continued to do dumb shit. But because they weren't mature when they first became a parent. So that immaturity just continued. So this person's parents, they started off immature and they continue to be immature, so much so that they're still trying to shirk their parental duties and trying to put it on someone else. And not for nothing, but this boy is old enough to, like, he can parent himself to a degree. They don't have to put it on the older sister.
He's 19.
They can bring him into adulthood by experience and saying, well, okay, here are your choices. Like, it almost seems like they're trying to pacify him and coddle him. But I'm like, dude, this is the time where you can start making decisions for yourself. Because you've already graduated high school. And what better way to teach him how to fend for himself by letting him fend for his fucking self? Otherwise, he ain't never gonna know how to be out there in the world. Like, now would be the time to start bringing him into adulthood and start teaching him how to adult with, hey, you have a choice to make. You're going to go to, this is your choices. A, get a job, go to community college. Choice B, you want to stay with your sister? Okay, if she says it, first of all, have the fucking conversation with her. Don't just make an agreement with your kid and say you can go stay with your sister. Well, I was fucking talking to her about it.
True. Especially, not trying to be funny, but just hear what I'm about to say that you just made me think about. Hell, he's 19. Why the hell he can't go to his sister?
Because he sounds like he was an asshole. Sorry. He said he was filled with he lashed out. And she said the only time that their relationship was good was when she walked on eggshells. So she had to change who she was just to get along. She had to go along to get along, which means that they didn't get along. And for the father to be like, go stay with your sister without consulting her as a married woman.
Yeah, that was so disrespectful. To actually put your child off, adult child at that, off on their sibling and her husband.
Even if it wasn't her husband.
Like, you didn't even
if they were just cohabitating, because that's the thing now, people can cohabitate. So even if whether she was married or not, they still should have had a conversation with her so she can decide if that was something that was going to fit her and her partner.
I agree. And her spouse. That's right. I mean, absolutely. I feel like her father, I know you might disagree, but that's how I feel. The biggest asshole, in my opinion, was father. And the reason being is because at least the mother was like, here, Dad, have at it.
Parents. There you go.
Right. So here, other parent, get your kid. I'm out. Right. I think the father is the bigger of an asshole because you're the father. Like the other parent in the situation left the child with another parent. The mother did not take the son to the sister and like, here you go. At least she had the decency to be like, here, Dad. Here, other parent. The father, in my opinion, is the bigger asshole. Both of them could have handled that situation way differently. But in my personal opinion, I feel like he's the bigger asshole because you're the parent.
Mhm.
You're the only parent left now. Unfortunate. We all would like to leave and go find ourselves. There's not a morning that I don't wake up that sometimes I'll be wanting to leave and go find myself. I love the shit out of my kids. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But on occasion, I'll be like,
You're testing my
if
nerves.
I could run the fuck away,
Test.
if I could run away, I would fucking run away. Where am I going? Right? But for you to actually do it and then try to pass off your responsibility to someone else.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been an opportunity for the father to be like, look, kid, you on
need
your
to
own.
learn how to be independent.
But the father seems like a bit of he's a Mitch. A daddy is a Mitch.
Word that they was using at one time, a simp. Do you remember people used to use the word simple? A simp. He's probably a simp.
All right. I mean, I kind of something about calling somebody a man a Mitch.
A Mitch.
I love it. Like
a Mitch.
She's a
Okay, we'll do it.
Daddy's a Mitch.
Okay.
He's a punk.
You know, I'll put the B before and in a minute, but you know.
This is, I don't know, it's something very disrespectful, like calling him a male bitch. Mitch. I just like, as a father, that would have been his opportunity to say, okay, let me pull you into adulthood. You have some choices to make. And don't start calling on your sister, who is also an adult now. And, you know, even if she was cohabitating,
he's married,
an adult in a relationship, trying to build her life with someone else, but then you're saying, oh, okay, well, we'll rope your sister into this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think both of the parents are very selfish.
Very.
And that's probably some of the problem in their relationship. Yeah. I think both of them are very selfish. But nonetheless, that boy is old enough to have some independent learning skills.
Absolutely.
So somebody has to give it to him.
Absolutely.
So whether that's going to be life, which is really sad, because I feel like life had to teach me a lot of my independent learning skills.
Mm-hmm.
Life in general. Like, oh, okay, well, I got to figure this shit out. I got to figure this shit out.
I mean, this kid kind of strikes me as the type to kind of learn the hard way. There's kids that you can tell them things and they'd be like, okay, I get it. I won't do that. But then you've got kids who have to learn the hard way. And then he sounds like he's one of these kids that is a hard way type kid. So lay it out for him. Like, this is how it's going to go. This is your choice. Big one. That doesn't involve another sibling. You can come with me on the road.
He definitely sounds like... I'm sorry.
Find myself.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Fine. Really? Really? You need to be teaching that kid how to find himself.
Okay.
How about that? How about let's get our priorities
This struck me as really funny.
together. Who's the adult here?
Come with me on the road while I find myself.
I would have thought that you're having a midlife crisis. Like, I get it. Your marriage didn't work out. You're divorced. Your wife's gone. She left you with the kid. I get it. Now is not the time to be out here talking about. This is what I will say. His son is definitely at an age where if he wanted to have a midlife crisis, he could. He absolutely could. Because she said she's 29 and he's 19, right? Right? That's what she said, right?
Mm-hmm. So you figure he's at least 40, 50, roughly?
They are at an age where if he wanted to have a midlife crisis or he wanted to run off and find himself, technically they really are at an age where he could do that. Really and honestly. As a matter of fact, you know, he's 19. I take it back. maybe the mother is the biggest asshole because you really didn't even go to your kid's graduation. Like, this is his senior year and you're not going to be there his senior year. It's hard to pick who the bigger asshole is.
Yeah.
Anyway, nonetheless, the point that I was getting at was that even if he was going off and having a midlife crisis, wanted to go find himself, they're technically at an age where he could definitely do that. However, he did not prepare them first.
He did not with the boy.
And that's what his failure is. His failure is if you want to go off and find yourself, fine, you raise your kids are grown. However, did you prepare them beforehand? Clearly not.
Well,
because if you felt like you prepared,
you have to remember though. Some kids don't listen.
But okay, this is true. But what I'm saying is, that's true. If you can prepare your kids, you can have the best intentions, and sometimes it still doesn't work out.
They ain't gonna get it until
you can
they
mean
get it.
well. They don't listen. That's true. That's very much true. But still, yeah. Prepare him. Hey, listen, you need to get you an apartment. Let me help you go get an apartment. Let me help you. Does he have an account? Does he even know how to manage money? Does he have these things, right? That if you want to go off in your hiatus, you can. Let's take the 29-year-old. Out of everybody, she was probably the most set up for success. And I'm going to explain, you know why, right? Because she's had all of these responsibilities for so long. Unlike the son, who probably hadn't had any responsibility, because now he's the youngest, and we've been putting him off on the oldest. So if anybody was prepared for some shit, it's probably her. That's probably how she's like, yeah, I'm not having none.
For sure.
I raised mine.
For sure.
I raised mine at 19.
For sure. She knows. She's like, all right, I know. I don't know.
I'm good. I'm good.
Sometimes I do think that when we're parents, we try to ignore the things that we're uncomfortable with. So it sounds to me like those parents were ignoring the things they were uncomfortable with, like when it came to both kids, and with the son in particular.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the son in particular, I think these parents seem like they were uncomfortable dealing with hard things or hard conversations.
That part.
Had the very hard conversation from the very beginning, like, listen, that is not what our plan. They could have avoided all of this, but then the hard conversation of, hey, look, I'm out. It doesn't strike me as the mother was like, okay, let's talk. I'm leaving. She probably packed your shit and was like gone one day. Avoided that hard conversation. And then even with being realistic with the youngest, saying, listen, this is my plan going forward, and these are your choices. That's a very uncomfortable conversation for anyone to have, much less one of your kids. But you have to. It's either you lay it out for them, or you try this shit and then have them feeling even more abandoned than they already feel. Because if this kid's been living in that household where both parents are kind of hands off and your sister's all hands in, like, this child is living in. That's why he was lashing out. But they're just shitty. Sorry. They're just shitty. It's a fucked up thing to do.
There you have it.
It's just a fucked up thing to do. Anyway.
There. I definitely feel like, even though the sister feels like they were being the biggest a-holes to her, and there definitely some validity to that, I feel like they were really the biggest assholes to that boy. They really did him a disservice.
Yeah.
How do you let it?
And I'll be honest, like, I know there has been... No, what I was going to say was, like, I know what it's like to be the younger sibling. with an older sibling who's like, I ain't signed up for this shit. You did, but I am having to reap the fallout. Because like our oldest sister, I was frequently put in her care. And she hated it. That's why when we were young, we didn't get along. Oh my gosh, she was a fucking asshole. Sorry, sis. But you were. And it didn't have anything to do with me. She was angry at our mother. But it's not like you could put that into words and kind of dissect that shit until you get older. Like, I understood it as I got older. I was like, oh, so that's where that animosity came from. It really didn't have anything. It was, it had something to do with me because I was a younger sibling, but it had more to do with our mother and our mother having to, where I was in her care. Like, that wasn't fair to her, but it's not like our mom had a lot of options. Maybe she didn't have the money. Like, our mother was a single mother at a time when that was really unheard of. So the choices she would have had to make was completely different it would be completely different from other parents at that time. But our sister was a straight up jerk growing up, and it had nothing, like, it had something to do with me, but the majority it was because she was like, I didn't sign up for this responsibility. I was trying to have kids, you did, but now I haven't taken care of her. I know that wasn't fair, but we had to deal with the fallout of our mother's decisions. Like, our relationship was kind of funny. I didn't understand it until I was older. That, hey, look, none of that had anything to do with you. It was, she was probably angry at your mother, and it's not like she would have had the wherewithal to dissect those feelings as to why she was so angry and why she was so mean to me. Now, was I the perfect kid? No. I would take her shit. She hated it. I don't blame her. Dude. I look back on it and laugh about it now, but she was not happy with me. She would get mad at me because I was taking her stuff. But again, that's what little kids do. And there was a 5-year gap. So I can only imagine, like, I don't know how she would have this woman handled it as with a 10-year gap. I mean, that must have been, right. I don't know. Like, I speak from the perspective of someone who's kind of the younger person who has had to have that experience. And like, I'm not saying, our sister, I've never even talked to her about it, but I didn't need to, because then at some point I did understand the why. I was like, well, that's a non-issue. I get it. But I was well into my 20s before I even came to that realization. It's like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Yeah, this is why.
But speaking as someone who's experienced that part, like, it's not easy because all of your kids are angry. Like, the youngest is angry at the older one. The older one's angry at the youngest one. Can't even voice why because they maybe don't know why. And both of them angry at the parents because the parents are like, why are y'all tapping out? It's a very uncomfortable situation. Parents could have made it better for both of them by making different choices. Like, even if they had said, okay, we don't want to do this, but now we've signed up for it. Now you've signed up for it.
Yeah. Now you got to do what you got to do.
And, like, bring him in, like, period. They should have started letting him know from when he was about 15, 16, like, this is how we're going to go. When you get to college, we're going.
Shit, it's so, I tell my kids right now, you hear me? When this youngest one get the hell out, I don't even want a house plant. I don't want shit I got to feed or water. Nothing. Nada.
You might change your mind.
You're going to change your mind.
Grandbabies come around.
Everybody keeps, fuck that. Fuck that. Come get your kid. Come get your dog. Listen, I have been taking care. Girl. I was about to say I've been taking care of kids, and I was about to talk about my oldest one, right? But then when I really sit down and look at my life overall, I've always been concerned in taking care of everybody else's feelings and needs my entire life.
Yeah.
That whole walking on eggshells thing, like, I get it. So, yeah. I don't want shit I gotta take care of. Oh, God.
Like,
nothing.
I get that. And
I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to be responsible for nobody Oh,
I very much understand that. Like I look at our mom sometimes because she had that parentify your kids type thing. And some of it again was situational. I don't judge her for it, but there were times where I have felt like even when my sister was gone, suddenly I was starting to get parentified on things that parenting myself, but then also parenting her or having to take care of her at a young age, which is completely unfair, especially if you have, well, maybe you shouldn't have a support system. That's a fair thing to say. But
so she did not have a support system?
I don't think she did. I mean, it's not like she had her siblings to lean on because that relationship was fractured by actions. And then also, you know, the uncomfortable word death because she lost her twin and then she lost her other brother. So all she had was her sisters. And that was not at least one of her sisters we know was not a friendly relationship, rightly so. But these people, you can see that they had no interest in being a parent. They were just completely unfair and they shouldn't have went for round 2. I'm just saying. But for whatever reason, that child was meant to be here. And here he is, but they could have done better for him by preparing him for the realities of what their life is going to look like once he became an adult. Like that's the very least that they could have done for him.
I agree.
Like we going
I
off,
agree.
we getting in our camper, we're gonna be driving the world, and you ain't coming with us. Suck it up.
Or we don't really like each other, but we're waiting until you get old enough to be able to get out here on your own. And then we're going to go ahead and separate, and then you can go live your best life as an adult.
It's actually pretty sad that this young woman needs to ask in a post, am I the asshole?
Is it me?
Is it
me?
just me?
Yeah. Oh,
because girl,
yeah,
you know
yeah,
it ain't
yeah,
you.
Yeah.
But you can.
How profound is that?
But you.
No, I think sometimes we question. No, I disagree. Sometimes life experiences and things that have happened to you can cause you to question yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It really may have been a legit question. Like, I'm gonna give you some backstory, but am I wrong? Because sometimes we will question our judgment. I know I am guilty of that. I've even called you.
Mm-hmm.
Have I not called you and be like, sis, is it me?
Yeah.
I need to know, is it me? And sometimes life experiences or maybe having the weight or the stress of being responsible for so long may have you kind of questioning, am I wrong? You know what I'm trying to say?
That I understand.
Sometimes your parents can make you feel that way.
Yeah.
They can make you feel like you.
And they did with her for sure. But I mean, like, more to the sense of, like, it's sad that she has been, through her life, that she's walking into marriage and life as a couple. Like, one, I don't even want kids. Like, her parents put that on her. You are 100% correct. Like, I had such a hard time with this sibling that I was parenting. Like, I don't even want kids. But I mean, it's sad to the effect of you have to question, like, is it just me? But I feel like this is, but
Right.
she was so like you were saying, it's so ingrained that at some point she didn't realize that this is not the norm.
Right.
So, I mean, from that perspective. So, yeah.
Right.
But girl, you ain't the asshole. Your parents were. And
as a matter of fact, you probably did better than most siblings that have been put into that situation.
Fair. Fair.
I'm so sorry.
I mean, it's a fair point.
I had to throw that out there.
It's a toss up on the asshole between the mother. Girl, you ain't the asshole.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, it's not you. And if anything, what you probably should do is do something kind for your brother that his parent should have did, which is give him the hard lesson that he needs. Now, I'm not telling you to throw him to the wolves. That's not what I'm saying. But he is an adult. Tell him, hey, listen, maybe you should start living on campus. Hey, listen, you need to be trying to find you an apartment. Hey, listen, you need to be trying to get there on your own. Hey, do you have an account? Let me go and help you. Let me show you how to open up this damn account. You know what I'm saying? Start setting him up so you can get him the hell up out of your house and start teaching him how to be independent.
Agreed.
That's what the hell you should be doing. You are not an asshole for saying, I want to live my life.
Or saying, I just want to be his sister, not his parent.
Period.
Yeah.
My role of parenting should have never even existed. And it comes to a close. And what I'm going to be right now is not a parent. I'm going to be a big sister. And I'm going to tell you what the fuck you need to do. Period.
Don't go to community college.
Period.
Go to a 4-year. Gain some
Go
independence.
to 4-year college. Go stay your ass on campus.
Yeah.
And if you can't get into a 4-year college where you can stay your ass on campus, you want to go to community college, by all means, help yourself. But what the fuck you're going to have to do is go and get you a job, get you an apartment, and go ahead and go to school. Because people do it all the time. Or even I had kids paying bills, working, and going to school.
Or that.
And it's not unheard of. Okay?
That's what I was going to say.
And I'm not some hero.
Okay.
I'm not a hero by any means. You do what you have to do in life. It's called adulthood. That's what that's called.
I mean, that's what I was going to say. Like, even if she felt like she didn't want a parent, she could still be a big sibling and say, hey, look, if you have nowhere place to go, I mean, you're not going to leave the kid out in the street. But then these are the rules for my household with you have to do X, Y, Z. And that's the only way this arrangement is going to work for us. And it may or may not work for you, but if it does, great. But if it don't, I don't think throwing him to the wolves is a complete answer either, because it sounds like his parents didn't really fully prepare him, but she could take these next 2 years while he's in community college and prepare him as a big sister, not as a parent.
Right.
I don't want to say it's too late, but it is kind of too late for that. You've been doing it for this long. And I'm not saying that that's okay, but you can be big sister and not be parent.
Right.
You can find that balance.
Right.
Yeah. But you're not the asshole your parents are. Period.
Period.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. And just remember again that we are moving towards our official season 3, but we will continue to be on YouTube on a weekly basis, coming to you with some lives and hot topics. And just so we can prepare for another project that is really near and dear to our hearts, that we think that it's important. And we'll share details of that as we get closer, probably in our... But thank you for all of your in seasons 1 through 3. And we look forward to season 4's support.
Absolutely. Like T said, we thank you so very much. Y'all over there on the YouTube, y'all be doing the most. Like, thank y'all. And that's part of the reason why we did decide, even though we're going to be working on this other project, we have to make sure we do not forget about our ousters during this process, right? And as always, feedback. And if you would like to be a guest, if you have a story that you would like to talk about, we are here for it. We're not going to talk politics. And we have our own personal reasons for that. So, but any other topic other than politics, we are definitely here for. And if it's not on one of our lives, because we could definitely do a guest on a live, no?
Yeah, we can do that.
No?
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's not on one of our lives or everything that's going on with us now, then definitely season 4. We're going to be, starting to work on schedules for season 4.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'm not speaking too soon, am I?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Catch y'all soon.
Love you guys.